pointed out wins. You mentioned the altitude early, but then also just being on a back-to-back. Just how did you feel these guys kind of readjusted with
Yeah,
the team?
I think the whole game was for us about handling adversity. You know, everything that you just named, whether it's you know, back-to-back, a really emotional, feel-good win, which you know sometimes produces a little bit of a letdown. Foul trouble. Played a team that is unique in their style of play, and our guys being able to make some adjustments. You know, not having to shoot around. You know, and then really, I think taking a punch when they, you know, made a run, and we were able to bounce back from that. And can't say enough about Jaylen and Onyeka.
Yeah.
You know, I remember being in Indiana last year, and Coach Lang was working with him, and we were trying to show him the spots he's going to get threes, and he's just, I have this picture of him, you know, taking his shots and working and working and working. And obviously tonight, those were big buckets, but as much as anything, it's, we needed him, and he really came through, and same thing with JJ. But you know, all that aside, the 19-point fourth quarter was that's how we won the game, and you know that was collective.
And just with how the defense has just seemed to step up every single night, especially as we talk about with the fatigue, where do you think the next sort of step in this team's growth as a defensive presence is?
Consistency. You know, I mean, I think we had a lot of breakdowns, you know, and maybe the biggest thing that would, you know, help us continue to improve is just we have to start talking more, you know, communicating to each other so we're not guessing what our teammates doing. And, you know, we watched, I don't know, 5 or 6 clips at halftime of us just not communicating and breaking down and them getting a layup, you know, in a screening action or slipping or whatever the case. So that's, but our guys have worked at it. I mean, I think, but talking is a habit too, and that's something we just it's gotta be better. So.
Going back to Jaylen, we talked a lot about his growth as a facilitator. I mean, playing through fatigue, it seemed like he kind of put the team on his back a lot early. Just how have you seen him grow since you first came here, 3 years ago now?
Yeah, I mean, you know how I felt about him when I got here. Just the feel that he has for the game, and you know he's got a diverse set of skills as far as passing, handling. You know, I think tonight, in addition to he's taking what the defense gives him, and there's been times for any young player, it's like one of the hardest things to do is to, you know, you're having a good night scoring, you're making shots, and all of a sudden, you know, they start collapsing on you, and having, you know, the poise to find the open man. Yeah. And I think that's something, you know, that kind of feeling the game like that and reading the game is something, you know, it's tough to do. So you can put the team on your back a lot of ways. Sometimes it's, you know, driving the lane and kicking out to the three. Sometimes it's, you know, maybe one of the biggest plays he had all night was in a rotation where he got a steal. So it's a lot of things that he did tonight that helped us win.
There was another one, I think 8:41 in the fourth.
You remember, right? Yeah.
Resulted in the 4-point play. Just how does that kind of speaks to his poise as far as being sort of in a high-pressure situation? You've got multiple bodies in front of you blocking your path to see where to kick the ball back.
Yeah, no, I think that's one of the things we've talked a lot about with him, and I think he's buying into it, is that when you get in the lane, if you don't have a clear advantage, that you have to be under control. Sometimes it means playing off 2 feet, you know, and being poised when you get in there and trying to make, you know, the most efficient kind of high percentage play. And that's hard to do. It's, you know, one of the things about, you know, this process as a young player grows and matures is, again, it's sometimes you have to go through some things in order to get better. And, you know, I think for him, being able to make quick reads And tonight, one of the best things, he just didn't hesitate on a shot. He wasn't thinking about anything, and I think that's a huge thing for him. Just reading what the game is giving him before he gets the ball. And he's capable of doing that, and you saw that tonight. All right? We should just go have a conversation and be good. We don't need you listening to what we're talking about. You eavesdropping again?